So installing the nose gear is fairly straightforward. The jet comes with a gear hardware package, and in there you'll find this linkage and the associated screw. So here there's clearly two holes. On one side they have already put lock nuts, not lock, because they've put set screws in there to lock the wheel. And in here there is a set screw. There's a couple of set screws, so I'm gonna put the other set screw in the top hole here. I mounted my servo thusly and the linkage, and then we're just gonna secure that this way. The gear assembly, I think, is complete. So the nose gear, and it feels very smooth, so I'm happy about that. Okay, seems to retract just fine. Extend just fine as well. So far, so good. Obviously, like I said, I'm pending to see how well this fits into the jet, because the clearance there was really tight. So we're trying to get the gear to fit, and I can see from the get-go at least two problems. So if we look at the steering arm right here, you can see that there's this bulkhead, this wood piece right there, and this gear is supposed to swing up and out. There's no way for this steering arm right here to clear that wood bulkhead. Problem number two is the gear door. So you can see how tight that is to the gear. So as this door actuates, it will touch the gear. And then finally, there are no holes like there were in the mains for where this gear goes. So I'm just going to have to do all the work to make sure everything is centered correctly so that the gear works. So it turns out that this steering arm needs to go into the second hole, not the first one. I had started with this, but the problem is there's no way to clear this bulkhead when the gear is rotating. But if you put it in the second slot, I mean, it looks a little dubious because of how that notch just kind of sits on the side there, but I guess that works. And this piece is not moving relative to this. I think I can get the gear to sit in here, and I think it'll actuate correctly. We'll test that. So that's one problem solved. There we go. And there you can see it just stalled because it bound on the gear door. Let me get a better shot of that. Gear stalled. You can see that. So that's what I was talking about, that servo arm needing to be adjusted. So we'll go fix that and then test this assembly before we drill holes and mount everything down permanently. What I'm testing here is if I can actually adjust that servo arm so that I can prevent it from hitting the gear, and I think I can. So right now it'll fully close. Let's put this in there. What's preventing it from fully closing is a wire because I'm testing it, but I'm pretty confident it'll fully close. And so as you can see, I've actually moved that linkage from the topmost hole, which is where it came into, down two holes. There we go. Okay, easy part. So the gear in my situation goes as far back as the air intakes will allow it. Let me show you what I mean. Looking in there, you'll see that the gear is as far back as it'll go because of these intakes, and so that makes it easy to figure out the limits that you can push this to. So So here's punching the press. I'm just gonna put indentations where I think the gear should go. Okay, so now that I'm done, What I'm gonna do is, I think that's centered, but usually as I drill things and screw them in, the gear might shift. So what I'd like to do is, I start with one of the holes here, because once that is screwed down, then your gear can still rotate in place. So we're gonna start drilling. I'm using a 3/32 drill bit, and we'll just start with that one. In my hardware package, I found these screws, which I think I like for the gear, and I measured them, and they're about 3.9 millimeters wide. So I decided to up my 3/32 drill bit to a 1/8, and we're just gonna open up that hole. And as I said, start with one hole, make sure that I can screw that down and see how that adapts to the rest of the holes that I punched in before proceeding to make any other drilling adjustments. Okay, so with that one hole drilled and screwed down, I can see that I had initially drilled my other holes a little bit inaccurately. So what I'm going to do at this point is actuate the gear one more time, because I want this to be perfectly centered so that it comes in and out the right way. Okay. So far, so good. I'm gonna take my gear back down. So doing it this way, I know that I have a better chance that everything will fit exactly as I expect it to. Drill one hole at a time in a line, and then secure it all down. The last thing I had mentioned is filing this down just a little bit so that that arm can be clear of that. With no chances of binding. So let's do that. Before I clean that up, I'm just gonna check that the actuation now works. Not quite. Okay. Okay, only thing that I may want to do next, or rather will do next, is just grind down the door right here just a little bit, since my gear is binding just a tad, so not too much, just perfect. And now I think everything is as I expect it to be. Clears, no interference with the gear. Perfect. Back down. There we go. The gear looks like from the top side of the jet. You can see that everything fits the cutout right there, and that's good. So now